Yellow.
Okay, and you'll shut the door. Hello and good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Good. I'm not on the executive committee, so am I calling back at 10:30? I wasn't sure which one, or am I good to be here?
I think you're good to be here.
Okay.
But the board meeting starts at 10:30. We're just doing a quick,
All right, I'll mute out then while I wait.
okay. Good morning, Kathy. Is everyone there ready to start the meeting?
Everybody ready?
Kathy, can you all hear me?
We can hear you fine, thank you. I'm trying to arrange that the multiple people are on the screen. Right now, we're only showing the TPO room.
When it speaks on Zoom, it'll pop up here, but that he has to show the whole boardroom because they're recording it in there.
Yeah,
No.
that's what they did last time.
I thought we could have one.
Is Sam there?
Sam is not. He sent his partner, Paul. Paul, I'm sorry, introduce yourself. You have to push a button.
Hi, Paul Hernandez here on behalf of Sam. Glad to be here.
Other than that, everybody is here. I don't see Senator Garcia here, so I don't think that he's coming.
Okay, well, let's get this meeting started. This is the executive committee meeting. And if we could please stand for the Pledge of the Allegiance. And will somebody in the room lead us off?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation,
Under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Kathy, would you like to call roll?
Kaplan,
Here.
Garcia, Geller,
here,
Goldberg,
Here.
Portland,
excused.
Lincoln.
Here.
I have nobody else from the council members, unless somebody is online and wants to say that they're here.
Udine is here, but I'm not on the executive committee, but I'm just here just to know.
Perfect.
Megan Rudder sitting in for Serena Davila.
Thank you.
Sue Burke, sitting in for Mayor Scholl from Monroe County.
Oh, thank you.
I was gonna ask Sam, but it's Paul. Paul, do we need a quorum for this meeting and do we have one?
You do need a quorum, Madam Chair, but we have a quorum. We have at least 3 members of the committee that are physically present. And pursuant to section 12525 of our Florida statutes, it allows this body to be able to meet and convene today with the members that are present.
Wonderful, thank you for that. So we have 2 action items this morning before our general meeting. And the first one is the General Counsel Annual Review. So Isabel, do you want to walk us through this, or Paul, do you?
I'm happy to Chair Lincoln. So every year in September, Sam and I both get reviewed by the board. And if you look into your agenda item package, you will find the employment contract for Sam for next year. And you'll also find both of us have our annual review. So for Sam, after we hear how much everybody loves him and can't believe that he actually would do this job for so little money, we would go ahead and move the contract, approval of the contract. And then when it comes to me, I can pick up then. So why don't we go ahead and start with Mr. Gorin and go from there. So every year prior to this meeting, we were actually prepared, but short on time for our August meeting. Kathy, as Director of Administration, sends out to the Executive Committee the review forms, and then all the Executive Committee members fill out the form and return them to Kathy. So Kathy is here and able to report to you on what the review form said for Sam.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay,
The floor
so
is yours.
We have copies of those that we can take a look at, copies of all the different reviews. I think we've done that in the past.
no, we didn't do it in the past because it was voted on right then and there. I can send them to you. Actually, everybody has 5s. And I can send you everything. But I can tell, I can read.
Perhaps
comment.
Director Buckley could help us with some photocopies.
Or can you at least read the comments at the end
That's-
for each of them?
I can read all the comments. There aren't that many. There's nothing under a 5 under Sam's contract. So let me go through real quick. So one of the comments is Mr. Gorin has always made himself available for emails, phone calls, legal advice. He is very knowledgeable and has provided the council with excellent counsel. No comment, but all 5s. All 5s. I will try to keep this year's comments brief, but my brevity is in no way a reflection of my admiration and respect for Sam Gorin and his firm. Professional, knowledgeable, well-respected, kind, and overflowing with integrity. Those are just a few of the admirable qualities possessed by Sam Gorin. Always willing to answer a question or offer assistance. Sam and his firm represent this council with the highest of standards. Save for the areas for which I have no working knowledge, general counsel receives a 5 across the board from me. Future goals, objectives, and areas for improvement do not change a thing. Next one is all 5s again.
Kathy, I think it'd be all right to mention the name of the reviewer so that,
I thought it was supposed to be,
no, it's not. Mhm.
all right, then let me start over. Hold on. The first
It
one
is Monday.
And she is the one that said Sam has always made himself available for emails, phone calls, and legal advice. He's very knowledgeable and has provided the council with excellent counsel. The next one is Councilmember Goldberg. He stated all 5s with no comments. The next one is Councilmember Horland, and she is the one I just read.
Can I make a motion to approve?
Yeah.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second, I have one question first. Paul, other than hourly rates, is the contract the same as it was last year?
Yes, I believe so. That's when
I previously reviewed the contract. They didn't review this one, because normally you keep it the same year to year.
yes, and it has been kept the same year to year, and then the only thing that changed were the hourly rates. Thank you.
So we have a motion to accept the annual review and approve it, and we have a second. We've had discussion. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Okay, Madam Chair, and that also approves the contract, right?
Yes,
It was checking. Thank you.
Madam
thank
Chair,
you. Yes,
thank you. Just very briefly, on behalf of Sam Gorin and our firm, we greatly appreciate the vote of confidence and trust that this council has always offered our firm, and the continuation of that. Sam, if I could speak for him for 1 minute, he takes great pride in serving as general counsel of this. Every conversation that I have with him, I think he remembers every single member that's ever been here during his time, and he loves representing in this council in this capacity, and it's an honor for our firm to continue to do so. So thank you.
well, thank you. Thank you for your service. So our next action item is B, the Executive Director Annual Review and Contract. So Kathy, if you would, please, can you do a similar review of the different performance reviews that were turned in?
Okay. This is from Chair Lincoln. Isabel received all 5s. Isabel is an excellent executive director. She is extremely dedicated to the Florida Planning Council. Carrie Goldberg, all 5s. No comments. Councilmember Horland, all 5s. Isabel is a pleasure to work with. She is always professional, welcoming, and readily available to answer questions. She knows her job and she does it well. One of the aspects of her leadership that I most appreciate is the positive manner in which she represents the council. Isabel is well respected and liked, and her willingness to collaborate is key to assisting the council achieve its goals. Senator Geller, all fives. Isabel has done an outstanding job as an executive director for many years. I only have good things to say about her. Councilmember Kaplan, all fives. Yeah, we need to print these, yeah, via computer. Something in attribute fives corresponding to excelling.
May I suggest that you give the paper to the
I'm sorry.
author?
I remember now, I wrote in Sumerian.
Move approval,
Yeah,
of the
Second.
reports and the contract renewal.
If I could, Madam Chair, so I want
Yes.
to clarify, my contract with the council goes to 2027, but every year I want to go this review and to get the input that I have. But the one thing that my contract never has coming into this meeting is a cost of living adjustment or a rate salary raise. And so that is something that I leave to the board to discuss. And I'm not really familiar. We never want to get ahead of our member counties. But I'm with all, the counties were just, budgets were just approved last week. So I'm not really sure what the metric is, what the counties did in terms of cost of living and salary increases. So I use those numbers. For myself, not really so much, that's up to you. But that's a benchmark that we use when we're having our staff conversations about cost of living increases and salary. So don't know if the cost of living is 3%.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I can tell you Broward, this year, based on Doge and everything else, went with the 2% COLA. You know what they did, Frank? I can just tell you Broward went with the 2% for all of our general employees. The sole exception to that is the sheriff's office. All right, but with the we had our employees under multi-year contract at 2%. When we've reopened and given them more each of the past 2 years, and we could afford it this year, because we don't think we can afford it, we've kept it at 2%.
thank you for that, Commissioner Geller. I can tell you in Monroe County, we did a 2.9%.
Yeah.
So what is this council's will for what percentage of a CPI would you all like us to give Isabel?
I would have said 2.5. Do we know what Dade did?
Through the chair, I'm not really sure. I heard different numbers because some of them were tied to contracts.
Right.
So,
Well, Madam Chair, I'd like to move a 2.5% COLA, which is approximately halfway between the Dade and Monroe, which are the only two counties we know about.
That's a good motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's take the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. So we have now approved the annual review and a 2.5% COLA budget increase for her salary.
Madam Chair, may I ask another question?
Yes, you.
Ms. Carvalho, in the past, have we given you just COLA, or have we also given you COLA and salary increase?
in the past, it has been both. Happy with the will of the board. I feel, been very generous. But it's important for me to understand the salary parameters because that goes into play for staff as well. So I believe last year was 3% and 3%, what the board's will was. But of course, these are different times, challenging budget times. So, again, I'm not so much concerned about myself. But I do want to make sure I have some sort of guidance from the board regarding what the counties are doing in terms of salaries for their staff.
Madam Chair, can I ask you what Monroe County did? Or did you do anything besides COLA?
No, we didn't this year. We had, we had a tough year because we had to get our firefighters' salaries, income salary up to the standard. And then that triggered the sheriff's department. So the largest increase in our budget for salaries was for our first responders this year, and everyone else simply got the 2.9%.
Afraid I don't know and what Broward did.
Would any of the other council members that are in the room want to share what their cities did?
I think we were 3% COLA, and for some types of employees, there's step increases that are built into our regular systematic process. Does not fall across the board.
Commissioner Udine, are you still on? Yes, I am.
Do you
Um,
remember what the
I think
county-
what, I think
did?
what we did in Broward, we did the 2% and the $2,000.
That's right. That's what we did in the county in order to get our lower paid members up. We gave a 2,000 plus 2%. That's correct. And that is, Madam Chair, what do you have any recommendation on what we should be doing this year?
Well, again, this is a tough financial year. However, I know that all of the staff for the regional council are excellent. I mean, case in point, the conference from last week was top notch. So I'm comfortable with giving a salary, increase as well, and would leave that to others in the room to tell us what you think it should be.
Ms. Garcia, what, do you have a feeling as to, through the chair, as to whether or not we should do a percentage or something like what Broward did, which was a lump sum to every employee as well as the 2%?
If I could, through the chair, I would, let's see if this proposal might work. I would like to go ahead and, now that the budget has been approved in Miami-Dade, dive a little deeper into see what Miami-Dade did. I am comfortable with the direction of me working with my staff to give a small raise along with the COLA. And what I can do is, normally I've handled those things by myself. I was always just, based off what you did for me, then I would know what to do for them. I'm comfortable with no salary increase. I'm fine. But then I will work with my staff to do something modest. But of course, recognizing that, maybe I can give a performance bonus on top, akin to the 2,000 that you gave. But I'll just work with that. I can report back if you like.
I would like you to report back.
I'm happy to, what I will do is I will come up with a plan and I will share it with you. And then y'all can look at it. And if you have an objection, let me know individually. And if not, I'll just move forward.
That makes good sense.
Does that work for you, Madam Chair?
I'm comfortable with that if everyone else is in the room.
That's
Alright.
good. Yeah.
So then
Okay.
I am receiving a 2.5% COLA and no additional salary
For now.
for now.
I want to
Okay.
hear what you do for the rest of the employees.
All right. Well,
That
thank you
works.
very much. I just want to say that I am always delighted to work with this board, which is why I haven't left after 28 years. So I really enjoy the council. Yeah. Well, sometimes I'm thinking weaving is starting to look more attractive, right? So, but No, I'm just playing, but I love working with the board. I love working with colleagues such as Director Boucle. And I just really want to thank my staff. They were a great team and they worked very hard. And none of the successes of the council clearly would be possible without them. So, you know, there is no council without the staff. And thank you very much for the opportunity to continue another up to 2 years when I have to, as Senator Geller likes to say, I have my sell-by date is now and the expiration date is 2027 at the latest. So thank you very much. And of course, it's always a pleasure to work with Sam and the firm. Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I think this concludes the business of the Executive Committee.
Well, thank you for your leadership, and we're glad you're going to stay on. For this meeting, do we have public comment? Do we open this up as a public hearing, or is this all we need to
I think
do?
that would, it never hurts to do that.
Okay, on my agenda, it says I'm supposed to now have a public hearing and open it up for public comment. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, I will close the public comment hearing and we can adjourn this meeting and we will start our regular meeting at 10:30. So you all in the room can have a coffee break.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you all.
Dade was 4%. Certain collective bargaining units. Contract. Yeah, yeah.
Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning. I was having a hard time getting my clicker on the audio.
Are you down in the Keys?
I am. We had the the Florida Association of Counties meeting last week in Gainesville. I didn't get back until late Friday night, and then I leave tomorrow for the Southwest Career Source annual meeting in Fort Myers. So I thought I am just going to stay and
I don't blame you.
yes.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning, Commissioner Cates. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Well,
You're
there's
doing
two-
a lot of traveling, that's for sure, representing us all over the state.
I am. I need to get my witch's room put together. Kathy, are you already in the room for us to start this meeting?
Yes, we're ready.
Okay, wonderful then. I want to start our meeting this morning of the South Florida Regional Planning Council meeting of Monday, September the 22nd, 2025. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Geller, would you please lead us off?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America.
to the republic for which it stands.
One nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Kaplan,
Here.
Cates,
Here,
Corradino, Burr,
Here.
Garcia, Geller,
Here.
Gilbert, Goldberg,
Here.
Portland, excused, Kaufman,
Here.
McGee, Rodriguez, Udine,
Here.
Davila, Wynn,
Here.
Villaboy,
Here.
and Lincoln.
Here. Thank you. I would like to take a moment to welcome Ms. Eileen Bouclé, who is the Executive Director of the Miami-Dade TPO. I want to thank her once again for hosting our meeting this morning at the Miami-Dade TPO. Also want to thank her for being a speaker at our lunch panel last week for the regional conference that we held. Great having you here and inviting us to use your beautiful facility. And I invite you to have a seat and join us and to say a few words.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Eileen's had to step out for a second, but she's on her way back. So we'll make sure she hears all the very nice things you just said about her. Okay, and she's at the table. We'll be right back.
Great. I apologize to everyone for not being there in person. It is difficult to run a meeting Zoom when everyone else is in the room. I just was overextended in my travels last week and this week, and just it was impossible for me to get there today. So I greatly apologize for not being there. And I will also say if I get into any kind of a glitch here with my computer system, I would ask our second vice chair, Carrie Goldberg, to take the gavel from me if it becomes necessary. So with that, we will start with our action items. And the first item we have on our agenda is to approve the minutes. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes have been approved. Next action item is our financial report by Mr. Leo Brzezowski-Soldi.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. the financial report that Ms. Kathy thankfully printed out for us. Thank you very much. If we go to the first page, we'll see that all the funds are balanced. The assets for the general fund have increased in the last month, $47,815. The assets for the federal, state, and local funds have decreased $33,094. The assets for the revolving loan funds have increased $2,604, and the assets for the Southeast Florida Prosperity Institute have increased in $1,145. On page 2, thanks to the approval of the amended budget in the previous meeting, we will see that our collections are at 109% of the budget for the fiscal year. And that's also thanks to the efforts of the staff, the hard efforts on collections. If we go to the expense part, we will see that expenses are at 86% of the budget for the fiscal year. That would mean that if we continue this way next month, we'll be adding $154,100 to the general fund. We're only 1 month out of the ending of the fiscal year. That's about it.
Thank you for that, Leo. Are there any questions?
Dean, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries.
Thank you very much. You have a great day.
Thank you, Leo. Next up, we have our consent comprehensive plan amendment reviews. I was about to say, Sam, could you read them? But we have Paul Hernandez instead. So Mr. Hernandez, would you please read the amendments?
Yes, absolutely, Madam Chair. Thank you. And just as a reminder, Madam Chair, these items are, and for any member of the public, these are public hearing items although they will be voted on all together and en masse. If anyone wants to speak on any of these items, anyone's present, either professional staff or otherwise, then the chair will open up the floor upon my reading of these items. So I'll now proceed. Broward County 2501 ESR, Monroe County 2504 ACSC, Monroe County 2505 ACSC, City of Florida City 2501 ESR, City of Fort Lauderdale 2502 ESR, City of Hollandale Beach 2501 ER, City of Lauderdale Lakes 2501 ER, City of Sunny Isles Beach 2502 ESR. Those are your items, Madam Chair.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second, but before that, I'm gonna open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the public, either in person or on Zoom, that wishes to make a comment? Hearing no comments, we have a motion and it's been seconded. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries. And before we move on to our adopted, I understand that Director Bouclé is back in the room. And so I just wanted to say thank you for hosting us once again at the Miami-Dade TPO. And thank you also for being one of our speakers at our regional conference last week. We greatly appreciate you opening up your beautiful Miami-Dade TPO to us. And we would love at this moment for you to say a few words to us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a pleasure to welcome you and the board, and Madam Executive Director. Thank you also, Secretary Iglesias. Thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure to host you, Madam Chair, and this board. This board is near and dear to me. It's amazing the work that you do here globally, comprehensively across our region. Thank you for what you do. I'm just here as a support and always here to welcome you to our board. Thank you for being in Miami today.
Thank you for that. We greatly appreciate being there, even though I'm not there, everyone else is, and you have a beautiful facility and you and your staff were always so gracious to us, so thank you. So with that, we will move on to our next agenda item, which will be our adopted amendments. So Mr. Hernandez, if you would like to please read those.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and as a reminder to you and the board, these items are also part of a public hearing. The adopted items are Monroe County 2503 ACSC, City of South Miami 2402 ESR, City of Sunny Isles Beach 2501 ESR.
With that, I will open the public hearing for comments. The meeting is now open for public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience there that wishes to make a statement, or anyone on Zoom? Hearing no comments, I will close the public hearing and I will entertain a motion to adopt.
Approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries. Next up on our agenda item would be regional issues. However, we don't have any that are on the list. So that will move us to agenda item E, which is our general counsel annual review. And I will start by saying that our executive committee just held our meeting where we reviewed the general counsel's annual performance review. It was all fives, and we agreed to continue our contract with the law firm of Sam Gorin and his staff. And at this point, I'm not sure, because I'm not there in person, do we need to approve this as the big board, or am I just giving an update, Isabel?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes.
do. Well,
Proceed. Yes. We may proceed.
so
So
yes,
is that,
you go ahead and,
Chair, I move that the Madam Chair, I move that the SFRPC approve the recommendation of the executive committee for the reviews of both the attorney and the executive director.
Second.
so we have a motion and a second to approve both item E and item F, the general counsel annual review and the executive director annual review. Are there any comments? Hearing none, then let's take this to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Congratulations and thank you both, Sam and Paul and Isabel, for your service. Next item is our proposed operating budget. And again, this is from our financial director, Leo. The floor is yours.
Good morning again. Hope you didn't miss me that much. Now we have the new budget for fiscal year 25-26. I'm glad to inform you that the increase, the estimated increase is $527,571. We went from $3,461,598 to $3,989,169, and this is explained by the expansion in Florida Department of Emergency Preparedness programs, specifically the Regional Resilience Tasks 5 and 6, which we will have our staff working the coming fiscal year, and growth in trust funds. As usual, I'm happy to present you with a balanced budget. That means that the expenses will also be expanded related to this projects that I just mentioned.
Leo, thank you so much for your report. Are there any questions?
Yes, Madam Chair, question.
Yes, the floor is yours.
Thank you. We have two questions. Number one, if you exclude the grants and stuff, what is our budget in relation to last year?
If we exclude the grants,
Right.
well, as I was just talking with Mr. Jeff Dart before the meeting, the dues represent a 35% of the budget. So the grants represent a 65% of the budget on average this year specifically.
Okay, so our 35% that are the dues have stayed, I think, pretty 2 or 3% a year, something like that.
Well, again, it's on average 35%.
Okay,
It can go up and down depending on the grants. Fiscal year 22-23, we had funding coming from the Department of Defense for the DoD MIRR project. So that, drives slight variations in the revenues and in the proportions of the budget. This year, again, we have FDEP coming in with a large grant. So, but on average, usually we have a 35% coming from dues, 65% coming from different grants across the board, federal, state, and local grants, and trust funds, of course.
thank you. And then the last question is, I've been asked for a while if we make any money on these, but they are a community service, so I just want to make sure we're not losing money on any of our grants.
We do not. We have some, let's say, projects where we not only value the funding that comes in, but also the help that we can provide our different member counties. But usually at least we break even with those.
That's all my questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, Udine, quick
Yes, I
question.
see you, Dee. The floor is yours.
Just in the agenda backup material, I think the headings need to be switched. I don't think it has the correct years in the budgets. Maybe it just carries over from last year unless I'm reading it wrong.
If I may, council member, that's due to an error in the file that was submitted by myself. It was my issue. I sent it yesterday to Miss Kathy. I was celebrating my birthday. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, happy birthday. So subject to that change being corrected, I'd move to approve.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
You should be 3.4 million versus 3.9, and that's fiscal year 25 versus 26, and not 24 versus 25. Yes.
So we have a motion that reflects that change. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
One
Any
last-
further?
May I remind me, the EPA is the source of the funds for the brownfields?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
Any further questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. Leo, thank you and happy birthday.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much.
Next agenda item is item H, and that is South Florida Regional Planning Council Resolution 25-03, funding for the SFRTA. And Isabel, I have your name by this one, so the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much, Chair Lincoln. So, as you know, there's been a lot of conversation about legislative changes that resulted in lack of funding for the rail enterprise programs, which this directly impacts the South Florida Regional Transportation Authority and its ability to, a year out, operate. So this resolution is very similar to resolutions that have been adopted in Miami-Dade on September 3rd, and then in Broward and Palm Beach counties on September 16th. So the Regional Transportation Authority, of course, is a strong partner and we support them. And I thought it would be a good idea to add our support to the resolutions. I have modified it somewhat, simply adding some of the information that we developed as part of our work with the EDA, Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, as the Economic Development District. So you'll find some whereas clauses that talk about traffic congestion. There's also one that talks about the value added to employment and jobs and income when there's employment proximate to transit and housing. So just basically echoing a lot of the themes that we had discussed at last week's regional conference.
Thank you for that report, Executive Director Cosio Carbello. And now I open it up for comments.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
prior to opening this item up for comments, may I read the resolution into the record, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Council before you is resolution number 2503, and I'll read the heading, the title now. A resolution of the South Florida Regional Planning Council representing the local governments of Monroe, Miami-Dade, and Broward Counties, Florida, urging the Florida legislature to appropriate funding for the Florida Rail Enterprise Program to fund the South Florida Regional Transportation Authority's Tri-Rail operations to maintain Tri-Rail's level of service, urging the Florida Department of Transportation to include such funding as may be necessary in the appropriate current and future FDOT 5-year work programs and providing for an effective date. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that, Mr. Hernandez. The floor is open for discussion.
Move approval.
We have a
Second.
motion. Do we have a second?
I second it, yes.
Thank you. I didn't hear that. Any other comments? We will take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you for that. We will now be open for public comments. So if there is anyone there in person or on Zoom that wishes to make a public comment, now would be your opportunity. Going once, going twice. Okay, we will close public comments and we will move on to our program reports and activities. First one up is our Senior Loan Officer, Mr. Jeff Tart. Mr. Tart, the floor is yours to discuss the revolving loan funds.
Perfect. Good morning, council members. As Senior Loan Officer and Manager of the Revolving Loan Fund programs, I'd like to share a few brief highlights on our Revolving Loan Fund programs for the month of September. Prior to my updates, however, I wanted to share a recent article in the August 11th issue of the South Florida Business Journal. Business bankruptcies in South Florida are on the rise as companies grapple with mounting national and local economic pressures. Firms based in Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, and Monroe counties that file for Chapter 7 liquidation or Chapter 11 reorganization in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the Southern District of Florida jumped nearly 50% in the first half of the year. A total of 152 businesses filed during this period, up from 103 filings in the same time last year. Attributing to the spike is rising operating costs, labor shortages, and lingering pandemic aftershocks. Independently owned restaurants and franchises are among the top industries affected by these hurdles. This trend is anticipated to continue through the rest of the year as shifting policies in tariff and immigration pose obstacles to the sector and other industries that depend on low-income workers and essential operating supplies. Businesses that also rely on contractors for their workforce, such as construction, at-home health providers, roofing, and HVAC, are additional sectors that are vulnerable to these challenges and have begun to file for bankruptcy for this year. Fortunately, both the CARES Act and the traditional RLF programs have minimal exposure to restaurants and franchises in their portfolios, and the administrative team actively manages with on-site visits and financial updates. In regards to our CARES Act RLF, to date, the administration has approved 38 loans totaling $8.71 million and saved or created over 350 jobs. The program has approximately $354,000 to lend to new borrowers. On August 28th, the RLF administration team recently closed a $350,000 loan to increase white glove linen and laundry services to expand their growing business serving the hospitality industry. Additionally, the loan administration is now closing a $500,000 loan to Paramount Broadcasting Communications, an existing minority-owned business, to renovate a new commercial studio space in Sunrise for the expansion of their media firm serving the Haitian community in South Florida. In regards to the traditional RLF, this program has currently provided $5.2 million to 29 businesses and has approximately $1.1 million available to lend to new borrowers. In regards to our EPA Brownfields Cleanup Revolving Loan Fund, this month I have included in your board packages a project update on the 79th Street Corridor Initiative. The 79th Street Corridor Initiative is an effort to transform Miami-Dade County's 79th Street from a fragmented set of residential, commercial, and industrial sites into a cohesive neighborhood conscious of its tangible and intangible assets and directing its future. The mission of the 79th Street Corridor is to use a transit-oriented development approach along with existing assets to transform the 79th Street Corridor into a community of choice for people to live, work, and visit. The SFRPC has been supporting the initiative for over 5 years and was instrumental in securing $800,000 in EPA awards for assessment and planning cleanup activities. To continue to assist the initiative with its ongoing mission and vision, the SFRPC's Brownfields RLF will seek to support remediation activities after final site approval is secured from Miami-Dade County. Separately, the SFRPC continues to support Habitat for Humanity of Key West and the Lower Florida Keys in Monroe County with environmental assessment needs. We received a letter of appreciation from Christina Wellborn, who's the Executive Director of Habitat of Humanity for Key West, regarding our commitment of approximately $80,000 plus to complete their assessment of the old Baddock dump located in Middle Torch Key. I've also included a letter of support from Monroe County in your booklets for Habitat for Humanity that was provided by Monroe County. Our team is also happy to assist with any additional information on any of our project updates in the Brownfields program. And just in regards to our affordable housing initiative, the Southeast Florida Community Development Fund recently approved, I announced last month, a 26-unit affordable housing project in the city of Sunrise called Sunset Strip Square. The project's being developed by New Urban and has been awarded gap financing by the Housing Finance Authority, Broward County. And separately, we continue to support the Housing Foundation of America with their new 12-unit affordable residential townhome project in the city of Miramar, highlighted last month to help address workforce housing at 120% or less. To date, our affordable housing initiative has helped support the construction of 71 homes, and I included a project highlight in your packages. Finally, the SFCDFI received a letter of appreciation from Ms. Courtney Biscardi, who's the Executive Vice President of the Urban League and the Central County Community Corporation, reflecting the successful partnership with the SFCDFI since 2014. And I also put a copy of that letter in your board packages. And just finally, the SFCDFI's initial capitalization for affordable housing was $500,000, which was provided by the Urban League, and they recently extended their investment with us. So I just wanted to share all that good news, and I thank the council for their support. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Tart, thank you for that extensive and impressive report. Greatly appreciate your status update for us. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Tart?
Just one.
Yes, the floor is yours, Commissioner Geller.
Good report and impressive. I will, considering that the SFRPC just did something on transit-oriented development major conference, I was very interested in that 79th Street TOD that you're discussing. Is that something that you can give us the highlights on, or should I save my questions to Secretary Iglesias?
I did include in your board packages a synopsis of that project and its orientation around a transit-oriented development. But, you know, certainly she may be best to answer those questions.
Thank you. No additional questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Tart at this time? Hearing none, we're going to segue right over to our presenter this morning. Time approximate 11 o'clock, and that's exactly what time we have. And it is my absolute honor to introduce Mr. Daniel Iglesias, who is the District Secretary for the Florida Department of Transportation District 6. And before I speak a little bit about him, I want to let you all know I've brought in my executive aide, Casey Hunt, and we just wanted to say thank you so much to Mr. Iglesias and his staff, who have been absolutely amazing to work with. And anytime anyone calls our office with any issue that has to do with our US 1 highway or any of the roads that the Florida Department of Transportation are in charge of, you and your staff have just been so receptive and easy to work with. So very excited to hear your presentation this morning. Just a little background on Mr. Iglesias. He was born and raised in Miami, Florida, and he worked for 7 years in the private sector before deciding to start a career with the Florida Department of Transportation. And he is married to his wife, Nikki, and has 2 children. If you want to learn more about him, you can read more information in your backup materials. But right now, I would like to say welcome to the South Florida Regional Planning Council. And Mr. Iglesias, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Lincoln, and good morning. Good to see you again. And good morning, everybody. And thank you for the opportunity for me to present to the council in familiar territory. So I appreciate Eileen also inviting you all to join us. I do attend the TPO board meetings quite often, so it's very nice to see you all today. I'm not sure if we have the presentation perfect queued up. So I'm excited to be here today. A little bit about myself. I am new to the role as district secretary, having been in this position for the last 6 months. Although, as the chair mentioned, not new to the department, having spent the last 19 years of my professional career with FDOT, all in District 6. 25 years of professional experience in the transportation industry, all here locally in Miami-Dade County. So this is my backyard and my home. And so I have obviously a vested interest in seeing that we improve congestion here in Miami-Dade and Monroe counties. So I do have a brief presentation. I'll try to get through as efficiently as I can. But I'm honored to share FDOT's strides in transportation, highlighting our leadership, current budget, our legislative momentum, and some current and future projects in our region. Next slide, please. I did want to talk about at a statewide level first, what we've done to make sure that Florida is a leader in transportation nationwide. When it comes to transportation, statewide, FDOT manages 10,500 active contracts worth a total of $21 billion. We pay out $45 million daily in cash outflow. So if you can imagine that as a private corporation, it's a multi-billion-dollar corporation that we're managing here in the state of Florida. We lead the nation currently with 6 mega projects. Each mega project is worth over $500 million. And we have an additional 10 more that are currently programmed and on the way. And our efforts support Florida's #1 economy ranking and #2 workforce housing nationwide. Next slide. So despite a complex legislative session this past April, we did secure impactful investments in transportation across the state. I did want to touch on, just for comparison's sake, the budget for fiscal year 24-25 being around $15.5 billion. 14.5 of that was for the DOT's work program. In 25-26, this past year, we received approval for a $15.1 billion budget, and 13.7 of that was for the work program. So overall comparable numbers year to year. I did want to highlight a couple of quick numbers here on the slide. $5.4 billion was allocated for highway construction, $1.5 billion of that is for resurfacing of our state highway system. $961 million was allocated for bridge maintenance. And an important point to make here on the bottom of the slide is that for every dollar that we invest in transportation, we see a $4.26 yield in economic benefits in the state. Next slide. We advanced legislation as well this past session that was focused on workforce development, innovation, and transportation modes, ensuring that Florida stays at the forefront of emerging technologies and efficient resource management. Next slide. And one initiative that we've been focused on, and I'm not sure if everybody can kind of see the slides from where you are, but one initiative that we've been focusing on is advanced air mobility, or AAM. We do believe that this is the next mode of transportation that will become prevalent in the state of Florida. And for those of you that may not be familiar, AAM consists of 2 to 4 passenger aerial vehicles that can take off and land vertically. They're known as eVTOLs. Florida continues to lead in AAM. We've established the first state advisory committee already. We've also released a strategic guidebook, and we've developed a strategic approach to establishing a system of corridors for AAM, highways in the sky, if you will. So it sounds very futuristic, very Jetsonish, but the future is here. And so we want to make sure that we're on the leading edge of this new technology, new transportation mode. The plan focuses on intercity travel first. Miami and Fort Lauderdale and Orlando and Tampa are the two sets of cities that are first targeted in our plan. And so we'll see a lot of local interest in AAM here in Miami-Dade County. We're also continuing to invest in autonomous technologies, smart work zones, and are creating a transportation research institute, which is the first of its kind here in Florida. And it's going to consist of a consortium of universities and FDOT that's geared towards centralizing innovation and research and development in transportation. Next slide, please. So next, I'll bring it more local to Miami-Dade and Monroe counties with respect to our District 6 work program. So I want to touch on some exciting developments and some strategic investments that we're making here locally in our vibrant communities of Miami-Dade and Monroe counties. Next slide. Perfect. So home to 2.8 million residents, our district is a bustling hub of activity. We've got 700 centerline miles, 3,190 lane miles on the state highway system. Every day we have 59 million vehicle miles traveled across our 645 bridges, 44 aviation facilities, 2 deep water ports, and 2 rail lines in Tri-Rail and Metro Rail. Next slide. Our District 6's 5-year work program for fiscal years 25-26 through 29-30 consists of a substantial $4.3 billion investment in our region. And this program is broken down into various funding areas shown here on the slide. I'll touch on a few. $528 million is slated for bridge repair in our district, $277 million for resurfacing, $756 million for our state highway system road construction, $93 million for standalone safety, and $611 million for modal development. We've also got over $1 billion of product support consultants that are going to help us deliver all of these programs. Additionally, we're also investing $887 million in operations and maintenance of our facilities to make sure that our state highway system is kept in prime condition. We are currently developing our fiscal years 2026-27 through fiscal year 2030-31 tentative work program. So these numbers will be adjusted as we work through our cycle and balance the work program this fiscal year. Next slide. This slide is a synopsis of some of the main projects that we've got in Miami-Dade County. I know it may be tough for some of you to see, but in Miami-Dade, we're focused on strategic investments, to enhance mobility and ensure the safe and efficient movement of people and goods, which is the department's mission. We are conducting several project development and environmental studies along I-95 to improve capacity and mobility for both freight and passenger vehicles. And we're also doing something similar on State Road 826, the Palmetto Expressway. That PD&E study on the Palmetto Expressway is looking to add capacity and operational improvements and is also looking to expand the express lanes network along that corridor. In Miami Beach, we're studying capacity improvements as well along I-195, the Julia Tuttle Causeway, making sure that we can provide better access to the residents of Miami Beach to the mainland. And we're also working on resiliency projects in Miami Beach as well on Alton Road. Those efforts are expected to raise the roadway and add infrastructure, including pump stations, to be able to combat tidal flooding. And we're hopeful that we can award the first project to construction coming up here next fiscal year. On the transit front, we continue to collaborate with Miami-Dade County on the SMART program. Although, of course, as you know, recent legislative budget changes may in fact impact our financial participation on that program. I'll touch on those projects a little bit more later. And finally, on the northwest portion of Miami-Dade County, we're also embarking on a study to be able to provide more accessibility to the I-75 corridor for that part of the county as well. Next slide. I did want to touch on a few examples that are not that are exemplary of investments that are not just limited to highways in District 6. The William Lehman Causeway PD&E shown here is a project that's evaluating non-motorized pedestrian and bicycle improvements along the causeway from Collins Avenue to Biscayne Boulevard. This is going to be looking at a way to provide separated shared use paths and bicycle facilities, and has been supported very much so by the community as we've kicked this off just a few months ago. One of the things we're trying to work on here is making sure that those pathways can be separated from the limited access designation of the causeway itself. Next slide. As I touched on, the 2025 legislative session did have outcomes that have impacted recurring revenue streams that fund state transit programs, such as the New Starts program for the state. So we continue to work on our role as an active partner in the SMART program. We are the lead agency for the North and Flagler corridors, and we'll continue to advance those PD&E studies and feasibility studies. And then we'll be providing, of course, additional support for ongoing SMART program projects that are led by the county. We're also working with the county and the TPO to determine how to best continue working on the SMART program, given these recent funding constraints. Next slide. We've also funded significant projects to enhance efficiencies and mobility for the two largest economic generators in our region, Port Miami and Miami International Airport. At Port Miami, we've contributed over $18 million to the Upland Cargo Improvement and Traffic Conveyance Initiative. This is going to improve truck access to the terminal. Next slide. And at MIA, we've contributed $4 million towards the design and construction of a new pedestrian bridge that connects Concourse's ENF, as well as over $11 million here recently in refurbishing the federal inspection station. All of this with the goal of improving the traveler experience at MIA and making sure that that facility is a true bona fide international airport recognized worldwide. So we continue to look forward to that partnership with Miami-Dade County. Next slide. In Monroe County, we're also working on significant projects as well. We are partnering with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection on the construction of a significant section of the Florida Keys Overseas Heritage Trail and Sugarloaf Key. This is a project that FDP had been trying to deliver for quite some time and had asked the department to assist. And so we've stepped in and begun advertising the design of that project with construction scheduled in fiscal year 2028. We're also partnering with the City of Key West on a drainage and resiliency project, which will also improve the roadway along North Roosevelt Boulevard and upgrade an existing pump station there to address some flooding issues at Jose Marti Drive at that intersection. We are focused on continuing the rehabilitation of the Long Key Bridge, which is really a change in direction and approach for the replacement of that structure. That structure has been determined to be very expensive to replace. And so in order for the department to actually be able to financially plan for that, we've decided to take on an additional rehabilitation cycle for that structure. The structure is not structurally deficient, so we are entertaining an economic replacement there in 2038. And similarly, we're also focused on the rehabilitation of the 7 Mile Bridge structure, which will undergo 2 rehab cycles before we replace the project or the structure. The first rehabilitation project is actually going to start construction here this fiscal year, 2026, with the design of the second rehabilitation cycle starting in 2029. And I'll talk a little bit more about these two projects in a few slides. Next slide. As you can see, FDOT is also very much a partner to local agencies in delivering transportation improvements for our region. This is one example here where we've partnered with Monroe County on the replacement of the Card Sound Road Bridge. This is a project that was funded via federal appropriation, and we've stepped in to assist Monroe County in leading the PD&E study for that project. So we're in the process of preparing for the public kickoff meeting, which is scheduled here for next month. Next slide. And we've also been working on key initiatives in Monroe County as well to assess vulnerable areas along Overseas Highway. This is to ensure that, of course, we can protect our most important asset against erosion and storm effects for decades to come. This is a study that will yield a reference and resource to the department that we can then use to assist in programming resiliency improvements as components of our roadway improvement projects in our work program development cycles year after year. Next slide. So as previously mentioned, FDOT is undertaking one additional rehab cycle for the Long Key Bridge structure to allow for the financial planning of the replacement. The department has currently placed the replacement PD&E study on hold and has been focusing on developing the scope for the rehabilitation project. We intend to begin the design in fiscal year 2028 and begin construction in 2030, with the replacement of the Long Key Bridge planned in our long-term program in fiscal year 2038. Next slide. Similarly, on the 7 Mile Bridge structure, because this bridge is an economic replacement and not a bridge that's structurally deficient, we've been undergoing additional rehab cycles to extend the life of the existing structure while we plan for its replacement. This will allow us to better position ourselves financially to replace the structure. And as I mentioned, the first rehab will begin construction this fiscal year, so that project has already been awarded to a contractor. And we expect to start design of the second rehab cycle in 2029 and begin construction there in fiscal year 2032. The full replacement of 7 Mile Bridge is planned in our long-term program in fiscal year 2044. Next slide. So I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about some key projects that are in construction in District 6 as well. Many of you already know about these projects, one of which is the I-395 reconstruction, which you may have seen as you drove into the TPO offices this morning. We're very proud of this project. This is a transformative project for our county and our region. It's a signature bridge project that will change the Miami skyline and along with Ocean Drive and the beaches, make Miami recognizable for decades to come worldwide. This is a one-of-a-kind bridge structure. It's the most complex engineering project I've ever been involved with in my career. And this project will be a true form and function project. Obviously, the signature bridge is the form part of that equation with a beautiful one-of-a-kind structure being constructed. But we're also having a very functional, grade-separated double-decker structure along State Road 836 that's being constructed in partnership with our Greater Miami Expressway Agency that will shave minutes off of commuters' travel times daily. Next slide. The Golden Glades Interchange Reconstruction Project, a Moving Florida Forward initiative project that's a vital regional interchange, obviously, to this area, is going to be enhancing capacity and operations on both the general purpose and express lanes. This interchange currently carries over 400,000 vehicles on a daily basis and is a critical interchange for mobility of people and goods. It serves 3 major limited access facilities in I-95, the Florida's Turnpike and the Palmetto Expressway, as well as handling traffic from 2 major arterials in State Road 7 and State Road 9. Next slide. The Okeechobee Road Reconstruction Program of projects is also one that should not be left behind. This is a very important initiative on the arterial network here in Miami-Dade County that's crucial for freight mobility. This is consisting of 5 projects that are currently under construction including improvements at the Palmetto Expressway interchange. It's another critical program for freight mobility. It proposes to separate truck traffic from general traffic by grade separating along the corridor, and then proposes direct flyover ramps at key intersections to improve operations and efficiencies at those locations as well. Next slide. So we had a great ribbon cutting ceremony recently at the completion of the South Roosevelt Boulevard project. It's a resiliency project we're very proud of and working in partnership with Key West. That project was from Bertha Street to Smathers Beach. This project addressed some drainage issues by raising the roadway and adding pump stations and injection wells. And we're very happy and proud to have been part of that event. Next slide. And last but not least, we continue to make great progress on the resurfacing and the partial reconstruction of the 18-mile stretch leading into and out of Monroe County, or the Keys. This project addresses rideability issues with that pavement, and also addresses safety issues along the corridor. It's been a challenging project in that we've had a lot of damage to the subgrade for that roadway. And if you're familiar with driving into and out of the Keys, you've probably hit many potholes in the southbound and northbound directions. So this project aims to address all of that and have longevity on this pavement for decades to come. So we're very proud of making progress on this project and look forward to completing it in early 2026. I did want to mention, obviously, despite all these great projects and initiatives, there's still a lot of challenges and hurdles to overcome in our counties. Bicycle and pedestrian crashes are still high, as are fatalities and serious injuries, and FDOT continues to strive towards target zero. But how do we move the needle quicker when it comes to bringing down these statistics? So we're continuing to focus both with private industry as well as with our local partners on new initiatives to try to move the needle quicker. Funding is also always a challenge. There's never enough funding to get everything that we need to do in transportation in our region. And in a built-out region like ours, what we're finding is that the costs of our projects continue to increase and the engineering solutions are ever more complicated. So how do we work together to come up with innovative solutions that can be constructed from a financial perspective? And then delivering our improvements quicker to a community that needs it as quickly as possible is also a challenge. Our projects traditionally take a long time to complete. So how do we innovate to get these immediate improvements that will add the most benefit to the traveling public in the ground quicker while we finish the rest of the projects? These are the types of challenges I'm confident we can tackle if we innovate, we work together in partnership with our local partners. Next slide. So I just wanted to thank you very much for your time and attention this morning, and remind you to take a look at our safety message here and not drive aggressively. Please drive safely. I think ultimately, with visionary planning and strategic investments, Florida's transportation future is bright. We just have to work together to get there. Thank you very much.
Secretary Iglesias, thank you so much for that robust report and for all the updates. And I can tell you, as someone who does drive over the 18-mile stretch on a regular basis, I've pretty much figured out where all the potholes were to navigate. And I'm excited to see that project has been moving along, even in all the rain and we've had and the fires in the Everglades, but you all continue to move that project forward. Is there anyone on Zoom or in the room who wishes to address Secretary Iglesias?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Secretary, thank you for being here today. We appreciate your comprehensive report. I have one question, which is kind of for you and also for Director Buckley. I don't know which of the two of you want to answer, whether it's one or both. We just held last week, our transit-oriented development conference, Broward County, for the SFRC. And one of the questions that I've had and that came up to an extent there is whether or not there is going to be any transit to orient development program. And what I'm referring to are specifically the continued existence of Tri-Rail and additionally, whether or not the coastal link is ever going to get, done besides, certainly into outside of Dade County. Right now, we seem to be deadlocked on the coastal link, no further north than the New River, where there doesn't seem to be any way of getting over, under, around, through the river that's acceptable. I question, even if we reached an agreement now, whether or not we would be able to get the necessary federal funds. I know that there is litigation currently between I don't recall if it's FEC or FECR, and Brightline. One or both of them are doing Brightline over number of trips. I know that Broward County has not agreed on an access fee with anybody. If I were a betting man, I would not be betting that we're going to have the coastal link at any point in, let's say, at least the next 5 years. I think there will have to be some changes. There may need to be some changes in the federal administration. My understanding is the president's not a huge fan of rail. So can I just ask either you or both of you your prognosis for continued rail service, and I'm referring to both the Tri-Rail and the coastal link, whether or not we should expect to continue to see those?
So from our perspective, at the state level, we believe in both Tri-Rail and the Northeast Corridor here in Miami-Dade County from District 6's perspective. We, as many of you know, we've had discussions and continue to have discussions with the 3 counties regarding Tri-Rail, and that includes RTA. Obviously, legislative budget changes are something that we all deal with, and we are no exception to that. We're a state agency that has to live within our budget, and that budget allocation is what we currently have at our disposal. I know that we just heard about a resolution being passed by the council with respect to encouraging or urging the state legislative delegation and the legislature in general to work on a long-term solution. And so we will be engaged in that part of what happens, I'm sure, this upcoming legislative session. But we're at the table and we continue to have those conversations on Tri-Rail. With respect to the Northeast Corridor, once again, right? I mean, we're dealing with the legislative budget approvals and budgets that we've been asked to work within. And so while we in District 6 continue to work with Miami-Dade County on the technical aspects of the project, we're continuing to work with them on the coordination efforts relative to the state highway system that's affected by that project. We've invested a lot of time and money in that project over the last, decade plus, and we continue to look forward to doing that. The capital contribution towards that project is what's affected in our work program with respect to the legislative budget changes this past session. Should something change, DOT obviously is still very much at the table and in partnership with Miami-Dade County and the TPO. And that's why we, I think, continue to want to have conversations with our partners to be able to determine, given our current climate with respect to our budget at the state level, how the SMART program evolves, given what we know today. And I'll let Eileen to see if she wants to chime into any of that or more.
Thank you for the opportunity. I actually agree with pretty much everything that Secretary Iglesias said. He had a quite comprehensive response on the issue. I remain optimistic. And I think if you look at just over the last several decades, the way that we've approached rail in different capacities, it's always included a funding challenge. that's cyclical, almost kind of like real estate, you could say, right? Real estate, you know, sometimes goes up and down, but if you look at the overall trend, that goes in a direction. And I think that over time, we are able to get to the table and get some of these large scale projects funded. And even though we have requests for our work program to be funded within a certain capacity, we still have to look at the long view and make sure we're doing the planning and that we have our pipeline ready to go, because funds do ebb and flow and they come. And I feel that that's something just the elected officials on this board, the elected officials on my board and in Broward and in Palm Beach are really, they're the policymakers. And as long as it's a priority for them, we're going to continue forward.
Thank you for that response. And I see we have a hand raised by Commissioner Beam for Commissioner, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. And Secretary, thank you for being here today. My question, and I echo Eileen's optimism, because I think everybody's put so much work into trying to make the coastal link as well as Tri-Rail, something that we can count on. But last year, it's my understanding that all the new starts were eliminated. And I don't know, and I guess I'm wondering if you think that is a dead end for us to be working with, even though I know Miami-Dade had leveraged that money with federal money. If it is a dead end, do you have an alternative suggestion of how and where we should be going to match our funds? Because we have matching funds ready to go. And and the new starts was, that's why we use that approach, because we knew we could match those funds, as I think Miami-Dade did. If that's not the path or the avenue, what is the avenue?
Thank you very much, Councilman, for the question. That's a good question. I don't have the good answer to that question. At the state level, the State New Starts program, it was our dedicated funding program for transit. In this region, we were between districts 4 and 6, probably consuming the lion's share of that funding over the last few years statewide. District 7 in Tampa Bay, I believe, had some money set aside for a project there. But without a dedicated funding source for that program, there is no ability for New Starts to continue. And so what we have been trying to look at, not only with our local partners, but internally, is whether there is an additional opportunity to continue to have these projects move forward from a capital perspective with respect to the state's contribution. We don't have an answer for that right now. We're still very much focused on the reduction of that funding in our work program. In District 6, we had $192 million that was affected by the elimination of that program statewide. And that money was already set aside for Northeast Corridor. So we're continuing to look at what other funding sources we would have to be able to at least preserve that project in the work program. But I don't have a short answer for you to tell you that we can leverage another program or funding source to be able to make up that type of shortfall.
And I ask that because we are putting an amazing amount of resources into putting together a New Starts application. I guess I'm asking you, should we be doing this? Because we're literally putting millions into that application as we speak. And I don't want to be going down a dead end. So we need some guidance here, is all I'm saying.
And through the chair, board member I understand and I can hear it. I can hear that sense of concern that we all share. I do not believe that it is a dead end. I think the loss of the source of funds that constituted the Florida version of the New Start, Small Starts program, even though that it's lost, I will offer you this perspective. We were one of the few states in the nation, we were the envy of the nation, that we actually had a state-funded, we mimicked the federal program at the state level with state funds. So the majority of my counterparts nationally were really envious that when we would apply for a New Starts or Small Starts, we could leverage 1/2 the non-federal share with the state of Florida. So it made our dollar go further. So for every 50 cents on the dollar, we put in 25 and the state put in the other 25.
Right.
Unfortunately, we are now in line nationally with the way the forecasting and the pro formas and the way it looks nationally is that the applicant has to come up with a federal share, that match on their own. There is no longer a state program that will combine your match to leverage your dollar further. So does it have a destabilizing effect on the financial pro formas that we're looking at right now? The answer is yes. Is it a dead end? The answer is no. Does it mean that we have to recalibrate and look at the, progression of projects and the scheduling and how we assign the federal match? Do we question the amount of federal funds we're asking for? We normally have fallen into a 50% federal share. Do we now start looking at 60 or 70% if in fact we can, and why wouldn't we? And then also cobbling up that local share entirely, at a local level without the state. That's just today. As I said earlier, if I may, funding ebbs and flows. And so the discussion we're having today may or may not be the case a year or two from now. And so those were just my thoughts. I would encourage you to continue if there's a way in your financial pro forma where you can, make up the gap, if you will, for the match of the federal funds that you are requesting. If you cannot, then it's really a timeline issue. And at the end of the day, if it's a priority, then that's what we find a way to do.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
wanna-
Rob.
I want
think
to
you know-
thank you. I want to be respectful of
That's
everyone's
fine.
time.
That's fine. Thank you very much.
Yes, and I want to thank both Director Bouclé and Secretary Iglesias for being here today and for listening to the comments that we have. And I feel we could probably talk to you offline about this, and I'm sure that Commissioner Furr will be reaching out to you on this. So thank you all so much for your time this morning. And let's now go back to our meeting. I believe we have one more item from Mr. Tart, and then we have a time approximate at 11:25 that was going to be a legal counsel update on SB 180. So Mr. Tart, would you like to finish your update for us on the SFRPC CARES Act?
Yes, I did. That update was part of my presentation, CARES and traditional RLF already.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Then we will move on to our time approximate legal counsel update on SB 180. And I believe we'll have Mr. Paul Hernandez doing that update.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Sam was going to speak about this at the last meeting, and I know that in the interest of time, brevity is key here, but this is a very important and it's a very important now law that's critical to planning and how cities and counties plan within the entire state of Florida. So just as by way of background, during 2024, there were many hurricanes that impacted the state of Florida, primarily 3, and those were Debbie, Helene, and Milton. So during the 2025 legislative session, our legislature got together and passed a bill entitled, it was SB 180, entitled Emergencies, which seemingly, if you read it on the surface, is meant to address, well, what do cities and municipalities and what do these local governments do when they're impacted by a hurricane? How do they redevelop? How do they get back on their feet? So the way that the state legislature approached this through 180 was to impose certain restrictions on the types of actions that a local government can take regarding its land development code, development orders, moratoriums, et cetera. And really to promote the redevelopment of these areas that had been impacted. However, when you look at the bill as it was drafted, it impacts the entire state. And the specific language is that it applies to, any, all counties and municipalities listed in a federal disaster declaration located entirely or partially within 100 miles of the track of hurricanes Debbie, Helene, and Milton. Just one of those hurricanes, the federal declaration impacted 61 out of Florida's 67 counties. So so in its totality, the bill applies, the now law applies to every single county in the state of Florida. The restrictions which I will summarize briefly are imposed up until 2027, but also are retroactively applied to August of 2024, August 1st to be exact. So up until, so these are the restrictions. A local government may not enact a moratorium or construction, reconstruction, or development of any property, enact a more restrictive or burdensome amendment to its comp plan or land development regulations, or enact a more restrictive or burdensome procedure concerning review, approval, and issuance of a site plan development permit or development order. I will take time to make sure that it's noted that more restrictive or burdensome is not defined within the law. So it would really be applicable. I mean, and you could speak with your respective counsel on this, but it would really seem to be applicable to any ordinance or regulation or land comprehensive plan amendment that seeks to take away in any way any rights that would otherwise be available right now, or at least that was available prior to August 1st, 2024. It renders such actions void ab initio and right from the get-go, they are void. And like I said, it retroactively applies to the August 1st, 2024. So it's something that we thought it's critical to share this information so that so that every member is mindful of this and can go back and conduct a review of everything that's been passed, not only conduct a review of everything that's been passed since August 1st, 2024, but of any plan, 24, of any plans that are currently in motion, or any considerations or discussions that your respective commissions or councils have had up until now. Any resident or business owner, the law grants any resident or business owner in the county or municipality the right to sue their local government on this. They may be entitled to attorney's fees and costs. However, that might be mitigated if the local government rescinds or withdraws the action upon which the claim is based. There has been discussion since July 1st when this bill became law about, possibly working, maybe that the legislature intends to work on it now in this upcoming legislative session or provide some amendments. But at the same time, the law requires the Office of Program Analysis and Government Rebuilding to study and make recommendations by the end of this year, December 1st, 2025, to remove impediments to construction, reconstruction, or redevelopment of any property damaged by a hurricane and present implementation and the way that local governments implement burdensome or restrictive procedures. Local governments also, under this law, cannot increase building permits or inspection fees 180 days after a state of emergency is declared. Kind of ran through it rather quickly, again, in an effort to and in consideration of your time, but we are available for any questions.
I'll open up the floor to questions for Mr. Hernandez.
Not a question or an observation. It's searingly obvious that 67 counties and cities are working hard on resilience, which inevitably affects or arguably affects development rights, redevelopment rights. There is a perfect conflict.
And one thing I would like to note in the research, and a lot of us in the legal community, we've discussed it. There's been a number of legislatures who have said, yeah, post the bill becoming law, say they just didn't understand the ramifications, because again, you read it, it's applicable to these 3 hurricanes. You think that it's only impacting those specific areas, but it had the breadth of this law is enormous.
It is. I would concur with that. And I know the Florida Association of Counties last week, we discussed if there will be a glitch bill for changing some of the language in this 180 bill. So we'll have to wait and see on that, won't we?
I was up there 20 years. I doubt that you're going to see a glitch bill on this, simply because this was pushed by some very powerful people, very difficult to pass legislation, very easy to kill it, just has to be killed in one committee somewhere. And I know we all would like it dramatically revised, but don't hold your breath.
Well, thank you for that. Any other discussion? We will then move on to our discussion items, which the first one up would be from our executive director. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, there's a lot to report on, so I'm going to be brief since I know everybody has a lot to do today. I just wanted to thank you again for your support of myself and the council and council staff. Very much appreciated. I also want to take a minute to thank you also. Many of you attended our conference last week. Commissioner Kaplan, Senator Geller, Gary Goldberg by proxy of his father, Councilmember Orland, yes. And of course you, Chair Lincoln, who did a great job running the meeting. Thought it was an excellent meeting, and we will be working on follow-up to make sure that there's some takeaways that we can follow up on. I also want to thank staff for their great work in the conference, and I would like to single out also Aralda. She was really the point of the spear and much of this work. Also, Deputy Director DeShazo, the analysis, and Principal Planner Miscus. But again, it was a team effort. So thank you very much. If you have parked in this building, I also want to remind you, please make sure that you scan the QR code when you're leaving to pay, because if not, you get upcharged like $60, something like that. And along that line, I want to take an opportunity to remind all the council members that any travel or expenses related to council business is reimbursable by the council pursuant to Chapter 112. So we go by the guidelines and state statute. Councilmember Kaplan knows this because when we go to the Regional Councils Association meetings, we pay for the travel. So your receipts from parking, all that sort of thing, just send them to us and we'll make sure to get you reimbursed quickly. So I want to mention that at your place and in your meeting package sent by email, there was a copy of the trends document from the regional conference. So it has a lot of interesting information in there. Of course, I want to thank Secretary Iglesias, who's been great in showing up. I've been bothering him for about 4 months to get him on the agenda. So the third time was a charm, and we're grateful that he was here today. And also I want to thank Director Boucle for hospitality again in hosting us. Looking ahead, one of the main things that we will be focusing on in the next few weeks is that state legislative committee meetings are now beginning in October with an eye to the legislative session starting in January. So we will be making sure to meet with our elected officials and explain to them, give them additional information about the council, what we're doing. We will be providing to them the partial list of accomplishments report that was included in your meeting email. And if you have an opportunity to look at that, it was lengthy. It's like 18 pages long, so we didn't print it out here. But I think you'll be pleased if you have an opportunity to look through that at the accomplishments of your council with your support. As long as I'm on with thank you, I also want to thank all the council members. Mayor Furr's not here, but I know a lot of our council members are online. And our council members here, Senator Diller, I want to thank you all for really at the county level in particular, but all our council members, because I know Councilmember Kaplan is always adding. But and with respect to our funding does come from our member counties. And I do want to thank our council members as well as the county commissioners from all three counties for supporting, once again, our dues request. And we will be continuing to work to make sure that you feel that you get a good return on your investment. And thank you for your support. So I'll be following up with legislative meeting. Again, delegation meetings are all coming up. And I think that the last thing I want to say, let me very quickly. We are unclear about where we're going to be meeting in November. And the reason for this is that there are a number of comprehensive land use plan amendments at Miami-Dade County that relate to the urban development boundary. We're going to be meeting with county staff on Friday to get a better sense of the lay of the land if those amendments are going to be coming to the council in November. Because if they're coming to the council and because they are urban development boundary amendments, we want to make sure to be proximate in Miami-Dade County to provide, for public input and participation on this very important topic. So with that, I think the last thing is to say, I hope that all our members that are anticipating the Rosh Hashanah and a Happy New Year have a lovely New Year and a blessed one. And I think, Madam Chair, that concludes my report, unless a member of staff needs to remind me about something, but I think I've covered most of it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. And I want to echo your thanks to your staff for putting on such a wonderful conference last week. Arada and Christina and Randy and you and everyone who was there really put on a great informative conference. So thank you for that. Next up, we have our update from our legal counsel. Is there more you would like to add to your report, Mr. Hernandez?
No, Madam Chair, I would only like to reiterate on behalf of Sam Gorin and our firm, our sincere gratitude and appreciation to this council for its vote of trust today. Sam really enjoys working personally with every single member of this council and the executive director and staff. It really is a distinct honor to be able to represent this council for as long as we have. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
We greatly appreciate you as well. So thank you. I will now open up to any council member who might wish to add something to this discussion. Is there any council members present wishing the floor?
Yes, Madam Chair, we've just discovered that Secretary Iglesias and I both went to Miami Coral Park Senior High School.
Well, thank you for that update. Anyone else? We will then open it up to our ex officios. I believe we've already had ours from the Florida Department of Transportation. I don't know if Mr. Wynn has anything else he wishes to update us on.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Just want to announce again the Florida Department of Transportation tentative work program public hearing for Miami-Dade and Monroe County will be held in October 9th at the District 6 Auditorium. And then on behalf of, District 4, District 4 will also be holding their work program for Broward, Palm Beach, St. Lucie, Martin, and Indian River County. And it is going to be held on Thursday, October 23rd at the District 4 Auditorium. So thank you.
Thank you for that update. And I see that Mr. Villaboy from the South Florida Water Management has popped his face up on the screen. So the floor is yours.
Oh, no, we have no comments, but I also wanted to, because I've had some other folks ask me about it, but just so everyone's aware, you're tracking our canal levels during the rainy season there, and it be 88 now. There's been a change, so if you're used to looking at it at NGBD, all you gotta do is add 1.25 to the current water level. If you look at all our gauges, if there's someone who follows that, just be aware that there's a change there on the actual live mapping. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. Anyone from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, is Ms. Davila on anything she would like to update?
Megan Rudder for Serena Davila. I have no comments at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Anyone else? Well, hearing none, I want to thank everybody for attending the meeting. And again, I apologize for not being there in person. And I look forward to seeing everyone at our upcoming meeting, which will be on Monday, October the 20th at our regular location. So with that, I adjourn today's meeting. Thank you.